Hey YouTube, let's do this.
Back to nature, climbing higher. Woods are thick, hiking alone. Hear a tree crack, loud as gunfire. Stops you cold, chill to the bone. Hear the growling, turn to howling. Something's prowling just out of sight. Beast in the night. Beast in the night. The forest has fallen silent. The mountain's dark. The moon is full. Catch the black shape of a giant, 8 feet tall, unbelievable. Your heart is pounding, huge steps are bounding. Your hope is drowning in the fading light. Beast in the night. Beast in the night. Oh, hell yeah. Run for your life. Step it up. Your fear is growing. Red eyes are glowing. You might die knowing those both were right. Beast in the night. Beast in the night. Beast in the
And hey everybody, welcome to Squatch Talk. I'm Pat. How's everybody doing? Thanks for being here. Appreciate each and every single one of you. Um, yeah. So let's jump right in. Hey, I've in chat. What's up, Sandra, Danny? I hope you're well. I don't know where you're at in South Carolina. I hope you and yours are very well. Lot going on in those parts. Yeah, let's jump right in while the sort of desire to just get this off my chest is out there. Um, it's something I've been thinking about and completely understand and aware of myself for a very, very long time. Um, I don't talk about it too much publicly in the Bigfoot world because sometimes I'm waiting for the right moment, but screw it. Let's discuss again the obvious elephant in the freaking room, man. Um, which is, why do people do wood knocks or whoops or what any kind of vocalization that clearly can only be heard a certain distance away. Like, I truly don't understand why they do it other than psychological reasons for them to be like, they feel like they're doing something important, but bro, if you're doing a whoop, you're already standing next to the damn thing, practically, because sound does not carry through the woods very well at all, on the ground, especially, right? So you're on the ground, you whoop. It maybe goes 100 yards. I'll say 200 at the most. It all depends. It all depends on exactly where you're at, but it's simple physics. Sound does not carry well through the woods. So who are you whooping at? The Sasquatch that's, you know, fucking 50 feet away from you? 100 feet away from you? Like, if they're already there, why you know what I'm saying? Like, it just makes no sense that other than it feels good to do, bang on a tree or whoop. It makes you feel like you're doing something, so that's all internal. But externally, you're not doing anything. What you're saying is they're here because again, like what do you call it? You banging on trees. No matter how loud or snappy that knock is, or whooping at the top of your lungs, you're not communicating with anything that's half a mile away. I promise you. Again, unless it's some special circumstances, you know, where the verticality is just right, or you're mountaintop to mountaintop, and there's nothing but air in between you, not trees, air, because that's how sound. And I know this firsthand from Pete barking right now. Pete, stop being a coyote. Stop it, dude. I mean it. That's how sound travels. And so if you have a bunch of trees, if that's clutter that breaks up the vibrations of the air, it breaks up the sound. I know what it's like to be half a mile away from a road where a big boy motorcycle, 200 mile an hour capable motorcycle is ying ying, and it's not that loud. If you're standing next to it, your fingers are in your ears. Gunshots sometimes can't be heard half a mile away. So so please, somebody, some Bigfoot expert, please, Cliff Barackman, explain to me what the point of whooping is, because at that point, if you're whooping or banging on trees, you are saying that you think you have located yourself within 200 yards of a Bigfoot. How's that possible? How's it possible? You know, and again, so the narrative, it's just because it's always described as like this luring of them in from someplace, and I'm like, what someplace else? Like the mountaintop 2 ridges over that they can't fucking hear you. Um, or are you casting a spell? Are you conjuring them up with your spell? Your, 2 knocks, 1 whoop, and a little bit of, like, Sierra sounds conjures up a Bigfoot out of, like, which is it? Why is my Wi-Fi bar low? Um, I'm sorry, they can't um, like, they can't, you know Again, you have no business. Sorry, you don't. I don't care who you are. Like, prove me wrong, please. Get some actual evidence. You have no business within 20 square miles of a Bigfoot, right? If they're an undiscovered primate, much less two. So, okay, reality, physics, how sound works, especially in the woods. Um, how is that happening? Like, you know, like, what are you doing other than, again, personally making yourself feel like you're doing something? And that's what it seems to me. What I see is the psychological aspect of it all, you know, that, people will do that stuff to make themselves feel good, like they're maybe accomplishing something. But if you look at the bolts, it's like you're not doing anything. What you're telling me, whether you realize it or not, is that you think there's a Bigfoot already within 100 yards of you. Now, that is here or something nearby, then I guess you're trying to respond to it. Then I guess that's a little bit more legit, other than the fact that you're probably just hearing nature. And I know because I've experienced these things firsthand. But um, it, if you're in an area that you think is squatchy, or some squatchy event happened there at some point, which you have no idea whether that was Bigfoot or not to begin with, because again, where's the evidence? Then, it almost seems cuckoo crazy to think that you're going to start communicating with this undiscovered primate thing that would have to be within 100, or at most 200 yards already within. You just are. Where you decide to go park, where you decide to go walk through the woods, that they're just there. So I think Bigfooters need to start asking themselves these questions, or answering the question that I'm asking is, why do you do it? You the you know, there's probably no Bigfoot there, right? And if you think there is, then how do you square that circle? You know where you know where Bigfoot is. You know when to show up at the exact right time, right exactly where, like, the most amazing biological discovery in human history just happens to be standing around waiting for you. That's not how the world works, man. That doesn't match any kind of reality that I observe and how things work. So I guess my ultimate point is that next time you hear anybody talk about this, oh, we had a Bigfoot get together and we did whoops and we did knocks. What they're saying is they already understand that Bigfoot's right there next to them. It's right there with them, practically. In a 1,500 square mile area, they just happen to be right exactly where Bigfoot actually is. Again, as if they're waiting for the people to show up or something, some special, special thing. That's what they're saying, but I think most of them say it without understanding what they're actually saying. The narrative is way more focused on this silly idea that somehow people are calling them in from far out. And it's like, that's not how sound works it's just not. And most Bigfooters camp in lower areas, even in higher elevation. They'll camp in the most advantageous areas near creeks, things like that. You don't see many Bigfooters um, taking really cool pictures from the tops of mountains. You don't really see that a lot. Now, there you have open air. You could project a lot further. I'll say that. Um, but no, to bang on a tree again, no matter how snake is, it's not as loud as a gunshot. It's not as loud as a freaking Kawasaki, brand new Kawasaki that goes 200 miles an hour. It's not as loud as those things. And I could barely hear those things from half a mile away when I'm in the woods, and maybe not even a gunshot. There's definitely conditions where you wouldn't hear a gunshot at half a mile away, even a 12 gauge. So why? Why do people do that? Again, to me, it's obvious. It's just personal. It's just personal to them. But then that translates into narrative and audience. And so something as silly as we did whoops and we did knocks and we got a response, you know, turns into like just a plate full of bullshit to gobble up for an audience. That narrative that's just what that turns into. It's like, oh, it works out there. It's not how sound works. And it's just such an obvious thing. It's like you know, I'm never the smartest guy in the room. I don't think I'm ever the sucker either. But it's like these just these obvious things that go like, oops, unnoticed, like, well, we're not gonna talk about that. We're not gonna talk about how things actually work, when they're framed as like these unrealistic scenarios that could never even exist. Like just that aren't even possible without some, extremely special circumstance happening. And then it always that extremely special circumstance always has to be applied. It's implied that, well, it must have been this, and so again, the odds just they keep adding to this. Well, the odds always work out for the Bigfooters. They're always in this teeny tiny probability, and they just hit the lotto every single time. You know, um, but only them, only them, all 200 of them. It just makes no sense. It's like these special like, well, if this and that, then you could hear it half a mile away. Like whatever, man. Like those are just excuses. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, Raptor. I mean, I'm not even talking about proof. I'm talking about how the world works. If you and I are half a mile away from each other in the woods, screaming at the top of our lungs, we might as well be on a different planet for the most part. For the most part, you know. Um, so that's how the world works, and this is knowledge versus narrative. Knowledge versus narrative. Like which one do you choose? you know, the storytelling or basic knowledge. You know, if you break your ankle and you're in trouble in the woods and you're armed, you want to start shooting off, you know, rounds even before you want to start yelling. And again, even then, half a mile, no one may hear it. A couple of miles away, definitely not, unless you're on top of a mountain and you have a lot of air to work with, wide open air. Yeah, so, I- like I'm sorry, guys. It's things like this where again, it's like narrative versus reality, and it's like it's low hanging fruit, in my opinion. Again, I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'm not like the Einstein of the Bigfoot world. This is low hanging fruit, dude. You only have to be mildly intelligent to figure out that, well, sound works like this in the woods, but the narrative says this. So something's not right. Again, it's not a thing, or you're casting right. You didn't just happen to plop down to an undiscovered primate. You didn't just happen to walk up on an undiscovered primate as a Bigfooter looking for one. So it always comes back to what I've discovered. Mostly what the Bigfoot phenomena is it's a people thing. That's mostly what it is. And again, ugh, this much I can't explain. This much I can. This much I can't. So I can explain a lot of the Bigfoot phenomena, and I just did. It's a people thing. It has nothing to do with Bigfoot. So honestly, I just wanted to jump on here and sort of spill my guts on that, um, because it's so obvious, but yet no one ever points it out. Like no one ever points out the obvious. Um, if you don't believe me, you can go do these sounds yourself in these experiments. Go experiment with sounds in the woods. Take your buddy, get at different distances, and start hollering at each other, and you'll quickly find out like how far that sound travels, and not very far. Not in the woods. Again, what sound? Vibrations in the air. The more air you have, the more clear air you have, and could be conditions involved, moisture, also those things. You know, um, you can hear a lot over an open lake. You can hear real far, um, but not through the woods, man. There's too much clutter to bust up those vibrations, and so why knock? Why whoop? Other than to make yourself feel good about being out there, it's all in your head. Again, it's a people thing. You go out the woods with Bigfoot on the brain, and it makes you feel good to do whoops and knocks, thinking that you're drawing them in somehow. You're getting their attention. You might as well be collecting the tons and tons of biological evidence that they're leaving behind because they're just within 100 yards of you. Like, what's the point of even trying to communicate with them? Like, just wake up the next day and go collect all the biological evidence that be left behind from them being there. You know, if you like, you see what I'm saying? It's fucking convoluted. It's convoluted, man, and no one has answers for it. Only excuses. Only ever excuses. No evidence. I mean, no answers. Definitely no evidence. you know. So I'd love for somebody to give me some answers on what's lame about it, Kevin. I mean, again, does it hurt? Does the truth hurt your feelings? Is the truth lame? Tell me one thing I've said that's not accurate scientifically. Tell me one thing I've said that's not accurate truthfully. Like, I'm not making this up. I'm going off of what we know about the world. And if you think that you can communicate with somebody without technology a mile away from you through the woods vocally, yeah, there we go. I don't know why that happened. Uh, God, finally you have good Wi-Fi. That's cool, Kevin. Look, if you're out, if you think you have some answer to anything that I've discussed here, then bring it. You're welcome in the comments. You're welcome in chat. I'm looking for an answer of why people think it's important to whoop and knock when they're out in the woods. And 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 they don't understand that by doing that, they're basically saying they've dialed Bigfoot within 100 yards of their location. Give me some answers. Um, Cliff Brockman, give me some answers. Whoever in the Bigfoot world wants to try and answer these questions or have that discussion, I'm down. We could do that. um, because again, if you want to point yourself towards any seriousness of discovering discovered primate, um, like these are the things you got to start shoving to the side. Otherwise, you're just in it for yourself and your own feeling, your own personal attachment and very emotional attachment. It's starting to get a little culty almost, but you know, like if you're in pursuit of some kind of knowledge, this undiscovered primate that's out there, you gotta do that. Gotta do it. So anyway, just wanted to jump on and kind of get that off my chest. Um, it was a thought that had drummed up in my head, and we'll see if any answers come. And thanks for being here, guys. Just a quick in and out. Nikki comes on at 7 Eastern, so that's in 20 minutes. Go check out her show. You might see me in chat. And thanks for watching, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.